Hello, thank you for joining me for this demonstration of Tonkean's LegalWorks solution. This is Tonkean's way of transforming the way that legal operations gets work done. Using an integrated automation platform, we can drive efficiency and compliance against your processes and ultimately drive more value for your business. You see, Tonkean is a company that builds processes people will actually follow. We do this by transforming the experience of the workflow. Because how can you have compliance and efficiency if you don't have adoption? You can't have adoption unless you give people an experience that makes sense for the way that they work today. Retraining end users, more documentation, driving people to new unfamiliar UIs is very challenging to do, especially for a legal operations team. So to get this great experience and to get that adoption, we work through the tools that people are already using, and we layer in our automation by orchestrating the technology you have today. This maximizes the adoption of the tools you've already invested in and gives a better experience so that we can get to a compliant workflow. By allowing people to work where it makes sense for them, we're able to still have the visibility, the time tracking, the automatic tagging of all the work being done, even if this workflow goes across and through multiple different teams and tools. This ultimately drives that efficiency. By automating the handoffs, by coordinating the people as well as the systems, we're able to create a more efficient workflow. So you can do things like recognize revenue more quickly, service each of your dependent business units and their functions more easily, whether it be procurement or finance. The way we're able to do this is using Tonkean's integrated platform. We have a large library of native connectors, and Tonkean integrates a little differently than other people. We actually monitor the systems that we connect to, and we do so in a way that is friendly to IT, so that they have full control over everything that we're touching and not touching. This lets us use a no-code orchestration workflow platform, so that people can be coordinated through email, through IM, however they prefer. Workflows are continuously monitoring so that you don't lose context of what's going on in your connected platforms. And you can orchestrate a process across multiple teams. So if you combine that with a very powerful forms engine and our portal capabilities, you now have an experience to fit each stakeholder in a workflow, whether it be coming from a third-party system, working through IM or email, or natively within Tonkean. Tonkean is actually able to fill in the gaps where you may not have a solution today, such as matter management, which we can do natively on our platform. So if you've already invested in something, let's use that great automation. But if you don't have a solution, now you have a platform that can fill in those gaps and help you avoid spending the 10, 20K with a services partner or with point solutions to fix these problems. Now you can just use Tonkean. We're trusted by many large organizations, from Google, where we manage their conflict waivers, to Netflix, where we approve all the new content going to netflix.com, to Lyft, where we process all of their unemployment claims. We would love to introduce you to some of our clients and get to know you better. So let's talk about how we're going to help you adopt new technologies such as generative AI, whether that's something you're actively engaging with or something you're just thinking about. It's certainly a next generation technology that with Tonkean you can adopt quickly and safely. And how we can improve internal process adoption so you can get that efficiency and compliance we were talking about, as well as drive value for your business and strengthen your risk and compliance management. Sounds like a lot, and it's going to be a lot to cover, but let's move quickly through this. You see, this is what we call the AI front door. And this is the first place where we integrate AI into our platform. If you wanted to ask this a simple human language search like, is Dunder Mifflin a client? Tonkean is an integrated platform that actually made a spelling error, so we'll see how it does. And this allows you to do a Google-like search across your entire connected landscape. And GPT is simply surfacing to you what it believes is the most likely entity, the most likely record to solve your question. It means that GPT, large language models, do what they're good at, understanding the intent of my question, and Tonkean does what it's good at, which is searching with compliance and surfacing just the right responses so that GPT can't hallucinate and give me all sorts of bizarre answers. Tonkean tells it how to answer and then works within that framework. Is there an NDA for them? It keeps the context of this conversation and allows me to see the relationships between records and answer simple human language search. Reporting only gets you so far. This fills in the gaps that reporting leaves. And it's also closing the relationship between looking for information and acting on it. So after it pulls up whether or not I have an NDA here, which it looks like I do, I'm also able to generate new contracts using Tonkean's workflows. Tonkean is an automation platform, so if I wanted to start something like, I would like to begin a SAL with them, it can direct me to that appropriate form, to that appropriate path to get this work done. So that's how we're helping people to solve their problems right at the moment of asking for it. And you, of course, can change what data is connected to the AI front door and what is not. So it'll take a second to run, and it's actually going to suggest a form to me to begin this process. But let's say that you don't know anything about this AI front door and you still need help from legal. Well, you can certainly use our portal where you can track all of your open requests, view FAQs, request things and fill out forms, typical portal things that you would expect. But let's say that you don't know when to engage legal in your process and you need that guidance. Well, what we can do is actually work through the tools that you're currently already in. Let's say that I'm in revenue operations and I want an NDA for one of my prospects. Well, Tonkean is monitoring the Slack channel, which we can do just as well through Teams as well as email and GChat. And we can respond back using our native natural language processing to understand what you're trying to get and direct you to that workflow. This way, this entire process stays in this environment. It's very easy for me to adopt. I don't have to figure out a login to a new platform. And it's enriched with data from my other platforms. This information is coming from Salesforce, so it's helping me be compliant. It's giving me a process I can adopt and a process that is compliant. It's going to timestamp everything that I do here, so I have the full end-to-end workflow. And then after it's guaranteed that it's gathered all the information, it's brought it in from connected systems, it's actually going to direct me to Ironclad, which just happens to be my CLM in this case. So if you have technology that you want to bring on board, but you're not sure how to get it adopted, or you want to use it more efficiently, Tonkean is a great way to do that. We're connecting the intake with the appropriate automation path, filling in the gaps in between, connecting the systems together so that you can actually adopt these workflows. And then it of course gives you that end-to-end visibility. So that's how we help you adopt new tech as well as improve the adoption of that technology. Now all this comes together then in our workflows and dashboards. So if you're in legal operations, you can get to these dashboards and you can see how Tonkean is dynamically triaging your legal at email inbox. We use our natural language processing to determine what it is, and we can also use LLMs to analyze things like urgency and risk. We do this across Slack, we do it across Teams, and even allow you to keep SLAs so you can understand your performance. This isn't even necessarily a workflow. This is simply analyzing your backlogging, bringing it all together. So instead of having 6 or 7 disconnected backlogs, it's all brought together with Tonkean right at the point of intake, whether it be from forms or other connected systems. Let's use that revenue operations example again. If I go over to contracting, you can see that I'm actually helping my revenue team generate revenue more quickly by proactively getting involved in the process. I'm monitoring Salesforce, and when a record reaches a certain stage, saying that, hey, for this type of record at this stage, we need to generate this type of contract, and dynamically reaching out to the salesperson and saying, would you like to generate this custodial agreement? Shall we go ahead and send it for signature via DocuSign? So that the salesperson, the customer might have no idea Tonkean is there, but legal has a consolidated view into the status of this request. It's automatically generated, and they're able to provide smart approvals throughout the whole process and track it even though it's going through multiple different systems. Let's go with a much more complicated example. This is one that a client brought to us where they wanted to onboard law firms, and they needed to do this workflow in parallel. So multiple teams, multiple systems performed in parallel. Well, Tonkean was able to provide them an easy way to intake these requests, and it was able to provide them a way to track them throughout that relatively complicated process of multiple approvals, showing people visually where they are, being able to track the process of generating the engagement letter, understand where the InfoSec review is, and approve the retainer agreement, all in a single interface. This information is actually being driven from the connected Jira environment so that my InfoSec team can work where they're most comfortable, but as legal, I have the full context of this request. We often start with clients on understanding their intake, and then some of their highest volume requests where we can drive the best ROI first. And then we provide them a platform that can grow with them. So once we get them successful and get them a return on their investment, we ensure that they're trained and able to manage this no-code platform so that if one day their matter management process changes or their email intake process changes, they can make that configuration themselves. You see, it reads left to right, and because it's no code, let's say that one day we remove Ironclad and use some other CLM. Well, my workflow's not broken. I can simply go in and add that new technology. It's a simple process of mapping fields. If you're good at using Excel, you're probably going to be pretty good at using Tonkean. And this technology means that you will have low tech debt, that it's going to be able to change as your workflows change, and that it's going to be able to still keep your other business units happy because they remain in the tools they're comfortable in, and IT has the full compliance and visibility into how your data is being used. So that was a quick introduction to Tonkean. I hope this was helpful. Know that there's a lot of out-of-the-box templates and workflows that we can use to give you value. And because we're connecting it together, we're increasing your visibility, your compliance, driving that adoption, and ultimately value for your business. I'd love to talk to you more. Have a great day.